Hey guys, I'm Mark from Porsche Spot and welcome to Gameweek 24 of the Premier League review. If you are new to this series, what we do is we take a look at the past set of Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the Premier League top goal scorers. So here is the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Saturday the 4th and Sunday the 5th of February 2017. Next to the games are their times in this video, so if you want to hear about a specific game, just go to the time next to the match and you'll skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. We start with Everton versus Bournemouth. Well, fuck me sideways and call me Barbara. It didn't take long for this match to get a goal, as only 28 seconds into the match, Everton took the lead through Romelu Lukaku. It basically came from kickoff when Morgan Schneiderlin had the ball in midfield. The ball ended up with Lukaku, who played a 1-2 with James McCarthy. Lukaku then cut inside of his marker and then curled the ball from the edge of the box past Artur Boruc. And trust me, this won't be the last time we hear his name this episode. And how about this for a stat? This goal, after just 28 seconds, was the fastest goal of the Premier League season so far, beating Pedro's goal for Chelsea against Manchester United. And Everton would double their lead in the 23rd minute when Romelu Lukaku stood up his man before going past him, followed by a second Bournemouth defender, and he put the ball on a plate for James McCarthy, who took the shot. His first shot was blocked, but the ball ricocheted around, hit McCarthy on the shin, and then trickled over the line. And only 6 minutes later, Everton would add their third of the match, and it was Romelu Lukaku who got his second of the game. It came when Bournemouth defender Simon Francis tried to play a ball back to his keeper, but it ended up being a perfect pass to Romelu Lukaku, who took a touch to set himself and lofted the ball over the oncoming Artur Boruc. But Bournemouth were going to go back in the 59th minute when Jack Wilshere lofted a ball into the Everton box, and it was controlled well under pressure from Joshua King, and he poked the ball past Joel Robles. And Bournemouth would get another goal in the 70th minute when Joshua King got his second. It came when Ryan Fraser did well down the right hand side before putting in a low cross that Joshua King turned home to make it 3-2. But Everton would pull away yet again when Romelu Lukaku completed his hat-trick in the 80th minute. It came when Seamus Coleman put a cross in from the right-hand side, and on the end of it was Lukaku on the volley past Artur Boruc. And Everton would put the game to bed only 3 minutes later when they made it 5-2, and it was Lukaku who got his fourth of the game. It was Ross Barkley who started the move off when he played a pass back to Lukaku, and after that it was basic stuff for the Belgian, who shrugged off his marker and finished past Artur Boruc for his fourth. But let's not take anything away from Bournemouth, as a few minutes later they would get another goal in this mad match through Harry Arter. It came when the ball was on the goal line and Harry Arter made sure that it went in. Replay showed that the ball actually went out of play before this goal, but it didn't matter to the final scoring, and it didn't hurt Everton's goal difference, because Everton would cancel that goal out in the 94th minute. Ross Barkley would get Everton's sixth. It came when Bournemouth's defence basically gave up, and to be fair, I can't blame them, but Ross Barkley made his way into the box and out came Artur Boruc to try and get the ball, but Barkley took it round him, and all that was left was him and an open goal, and this will more than likely be the picture I choose for this game. Ross Barkley was celebrating before actually scoring. Look at that. What a lad. But yeah, Barkley scored if you couldn't tell. And that's how the game would end. What can I actually add to this game? Bournemouth did well in the second half to get back into it, and the end result was probably a bit harsh on Bournemouth, but Everton undoubtedly the stronger side. But with this result, Everton are still in 7th and are on a bit of a league unbeaten run, and Bournemouth are down in 14th. And we move on to Crystal Palace versus Sunderland. The first goal in this game came in the 9th minute when bottom of the league Sunderland took the lead. It came when Seb Larsson floated a free kick that Lamine Kone got the initial header on. Wayne Hennessy came out, but him and Billy Jones get in a bit of a tangle, and the ball falls again to Lamine Kone, who prodded the ball in. A hint of a foul on Wayne Hennessy, but nonetheless, pretty bad defending either way. And Sunderland would double their lead in the 42nd minute when Didier Ndong got on the score sheet. It came when Joe Ledley got robbed in the middle of the pitch from Didier Ndong. He took the ball forward and curled the ball in from about 25 yards out for his first goal in a Sunderland shirt. And Sunderland would basically put the game to bed before half time when they went 3-0 up in the 45th minute through Jermaine Defoe. It came when Adnan Januzaj bursts down the left hand side, held the ball up for a bit before spotting the on-running Defoe, waited across to him before Defoe took a touch and buried it in the bottom corner. And would you believe it, a couple of seconds later Sunderland added their fourth when Jermaine Defoe got his second goal in about 20 seconds or so. It came when he picked up the ball in the box with his back towards goal with about 3 defenders around him. He somehow turned and rocketed the ball inside the near post. And that's pretty much how the game would end. A pretty boring second half compared to the first, but Sunderland come away with all 3 points in the battle for survival. But even with this result, they are still stuck to the bottom of the table. However, they have closed the gap on the team above them Crystal Palace, with Crystal Palace only being above them on goal difference. And we move on to Chelsea versus Arsenal. Chelsea took the lead 13 minutes into the match through Marcus Alonso when Pedro had far too much time on the right hand side to pick out a cross, and on the end of it was Diego Costa. However, his header smashes off the bar and loops into the air, and the people jumping for it was Marcus Alonso and Hector Bellerin. A 50-50 header won by Marcus Alonso, and the ball flies into the net. A lot of Arsenal fans are screaming from the rooftops saying that Bellerin was fouled. I'm sorry, he just wasn't. A lot of people saying that Alonso elbowed him in the face on purpose. No, he did elbow him, but if you look at Alonso, he always had eyes on the ball, and his arms were out because that's a natural jumping motion. And yeah, the goal was correctly given. I'm sorry. Chelsea would double their lead in the 52nd minute when Eden Hazard turned into Lionel Messi for a bit and went on a mad run. He collected the ball on the halfway line and just runs. Francis Coquelin tries to basically ride Hazard, but Eden just shrugs him off, and he's then faced with two central defenders. He just dances around Koscielny and then hit the low shot past former Chelsea keeper Petr Cech. And Chelsea would put the game to bed in the 85th minute when they got their third through former Arsenal man Cesc Fabregas. It came when Petr Cech forgot that he played for Arsenal now, and he gives the ball to a Chelsea shirt in Cesc Fabregas, and with Cech off his line, Fabregas had time to compose himself and lob the Arsenal keeper from about 30 yards out. Arsenal would get one back in the 90th minute through Olivier Giroud. It came when Nacho Monreal put in a great cross, and on the end of it was Giroud who headed the ball low into the net. And that's how the game would end. Chelsea deserved winners in the end, and Arsenal title chances are basically over, with Arsenal being 12 points clear from them now. And Chelsea basically have the title at this point. But with this result, it left Arsenal in third, but they dropped down to fourth due to the Manchester City result on Sunday. And obviously, Chelsea are first. Somebody just give Chelsea the title now. And we move on to Southampton versus West Ham. It was a perfect start for Southampton's £14 million January signing, Manolo Gabbiadini. 11 minutes into his Southampton debut, he opened the scoring and put his new side ahead. It came when a ball over the top of West Ham's defence is lashed onto by Gabbiadini, who makes his way into the penalty area and smashes the ball into the roof of the net from a tight angle. But the lead wouldn't last long, as only 3 minutes later West Ham equalised the scoring through their massive striker Andy Carroll. It came following a lovely through ball from Pedro Obiang that split the Southampton defence, and Carroll was on hand to slot the ball past Fraser Forster. And West Ham would take the lead for the first time in this match in the 44th minute when the assister became the scorer as Pedro Obiang put West Ham ahead. It came when Robert Snodgrass put a corner into the box, but it is cleared only as far as Obiang, who had the ball about 35 yards out from goal. He takes it forward a bit and hit the shot that Fraser Forster got a hand on, but not enough to keep it out, as Pedro Obiang got his first goal for West Ham. And West Ham would add a third when Mark Noble had a free kick on the left hand side. He swung the ball into the box, but it wasn't a West Ham player on the end of it. It was Southampton player Steve Davis that got the all-important touch, as his swipe at the ball sent the ball into his own net past Fraser Forster. Noble will probably try to claim that one, but I don't think it will count as his. And that's how the game would end. A big win for West Ham and a worrying loss for Southampton, as they are in a bit of a run at the moment. If they keep on having these results, then they are going to be in a relegation battle pretty soon. But with this result, West Ham are lifted into the top half of the table in 9th, and Southampton are in 13th, with this being their 6th loss in 7 games. And we move on to Watford versus Burnley. This match was always going to be a hard game for Burnley, as in the 6th minute, Burnley went down to 10 men when Jeff Hendrick got sent off. It happened when Hendrick came in late, two-footed and actually over the ball on Jose Holebas. At first I thought it was a yellow at best, but after looking at the replay and looking at Hendrick coming in two-footed, and it looked like he didn't even try to get the ball and went straight for the man, and I can agree with the ref on this one. And Watford would take full advantage of the 11 versus 10 situation as they went ahead in the 10th minute. It came when Craig Cathcart came down the right and played a ball into Niang, whose crosses aimed at the far post, and Troy Deeney was on the end of it to head home for his 7th goal of the season. And Watford would double their lead on the brink of half time when Mbai Niang got the goal. It came when Jose Holebas crossed the ball in with a ton of power behind it, and Niang got on the end of it for the second headed goal for Watford as he put a great header past Tom Heaton. But Burnley would have the perfect opportunity to get back into the game when they were given a penalty in the 77th minute. It came when a loose ball was picked up by Joey Barton outside of the box, and his shot is deflected off of the arm of Sebastian Prodl, and the referee pointing to the spot. Ashley Barnes stepped up to take it, and what a penalty this was, in off the post. Nothing Aurelio Gomez could do about it. And that's pretty much how the game would end. A bit of late drama though, as Watford did have the ball in the back of the net. However, it was disallowed because of a handball from Troy Deeney, but it didn't matter anyway, as Watford came away with all 3 of the points. And it was pretty much guaranteed from the outset with the 10-man disadvantage, but with this result, Watford are bang in the middle of the table in 10th, and Burnley, still without an away win all season, are down in 12th. And we move on to Leicester versus Manchester United. Manchester United would take the lead 41 minutes into this match through Henrik and Mkhitaryan. It came when Chris Smalling flicked on a header, and on the end of it was Mkhitaryan who ran forward and finished past Kasper Schmeichel. And it was a double whammy, as only 2 minutes later Manchester United would double their lead through Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It came when Leicester's defence buggers off and Antonio Valencia put a low cross into the box, and Zlatan is given time to power home. And United would have the game all wrapped up in the 49th minute when they went 3-0 up when Juan Mata got on the score sheet. It came when Juan Mata and Henrik Mkhitaryan played between themselves, and it ended up with Mkhitaryan giving it to Juan Mata, and from 10 yards out the Spaniard made no mistake and finished calmly. And that's how the game would end. United deserved winners in the end, and it's looking worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse by the week for Leicester. I can't see them staying up this season the way that they're going. If they do stay up, it's going to be by the skin of their teeth. But with this result, Leicester are down in 16th and Manchester United are 6th. Shock. And we move on to Manchester City versus Swansea. Straight from the get-go, you knew that Manchester City were probably going to take the lead in this one, and it happened in the 11th minute when the 19-year-old Gabriel Jesus got the opener. And yes, I'm actually saying his name the right way around this time. It came when David Silva twists and turns his way into the box and crosses the ball towards Raheem Sterling. The ball was just behind Sterling, however, out of nowhere, in came Jesus to smash the ball home for his first goal at the Etihad Stadium. And after that, the game kind of died for the rest of the first half and most of the second. Manchester City had plenty of chances, but they couldn't take them, and they were just inviting Swansea to grab an equaliser. And that they did. When in the 82nd minute, Swansea were able to punish Manchester City's wastefulness and level the game up. It came when Swansea new boy Luciano Narsingh played the ball into Gylfi Sigurdsson, and the Icelandic international put the ball low past Willy Caballero from outside of the box. And oh my god, I want Gylfi Sigurdsson at Liverpool. He's such an underrated player. He's so underrated. And it looked like Swansea were going to take away a massive point from the Etihad, but it wasn't to be, as in the 90th minute, Gabriel Jesus got his second and rescued all 3 points for the blue side of Manchester. It came when David Silva floated the ball into the box, and on the end of it with a header was the Brazilian. However, his initial header was saved by Fabianski, but he responded quickest to the loose ball and poked the ball into the empty net. And that's how the game would end, and oh my god, Gabriel Jesus is going to be a massive player. Not many people could come straight into the Premier League and smash it straight away. Pogba. But with this result, it lifted Manchester City into 3rd, with Liverpool and Arsenal dropping points, and it left Swansea in 17th. And we move on to Hull versus Liverpool. No. 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 Please don't make me talk about this game. Like all games, Liverpool dominated possession but couldn't get any shots away, and in the entire first half, Liverpool didn't have a single shot on target. But even with the majority of possession, Hull took the lead in the 44th minute through Alfred Ndiaye. It came when a corner is whipped in and a player wins the ball, not sure who, and it's an easy catch for Mignolet, but oh wait, Liverpool don't have goalkeepers with a brain cell, and Mignolet drops the ball, and on the end of it was the Hull debutant Alfred Ndiaye who tapped into the net. And Hull would put the game to bed in the 84th minute when they made it 2 through Umar Niasse. Probably butchered that name. It came when basically all of Liverpool's players are forward attacking, and a counter-attack is successful as Niasse found himself one-on-one with the keeper, and he confidently slipped the ball to gather all 3 points. And that's how the game would end. Liverpool's title chances dead in the water at this point. We're not winning the title this season or in the next 10 years if we carry on with these bottle droppers. But fair play to Hull, deserved winners in the end because they punished Liverpool's wastefulness and took advantage. And with this result, Liverpool are 5th with all the other results from the weekend, and Hull are teetering in the relegation zone on 18th. And we move on to Tottenham versus Middlesbrough. Basically, the only thing that happened in this game was a penalty goal to Tottenham. It came when Son Heung-min is brought down in the box under the challenge of Bernardo. Harry Kane stepped up to take it, and he sent it low into the bottom right corner as Victor Valdez went left. And that is pretty much how the game would end. A pretty boring game, but Tottenham probably deserved to win as they had more of the ball, the better chances. It wasn't a pretty win. It's these wins that add up at the end of the season. And with this result, Tottenham are in second, 9 points behind Chelsea, and Middlesbrough are down in 15th. And finally, we've got West Brom versus Stoke. Just like the last game, there's only one thing we're talking about, and that is the goal that ended up winning the game. So in the 6th minute, West Brom took the lead. It came when Nasser Chadli made a run and saw James Morrison making the overlap. Chadli slipped the ball forward before Morrison sizes up the opportunity and tapped the ball past Stoke keeper Lee Grant. And that is how the game would end. Pretty boring game again. I mean, there's literally nothing that I can add. With this result, West Brom are in 8th and Stoke are in 11th. That's it. Let's move on. Right, so that's all the fixtures I've got for you this week. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with the Premier League table. Starting with the top 5, and as you can see, Chelsea are at the top following their win against Arsenal. Tottenham are second, 9 points behind Chelsea after their win against Middlesbrough. Manchester City are third following their win over Swansea. Arsenal are fourth after being on the losing side of the Chelsea fixture. And Liverpool are fifth after another loss in 2017. To Hull. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Sunderland are still on the bottom despite winning 4-0 at Crystal Palace. Speaking of Crystal Palace, they're 19th, Hull 18th following their big win over Liverpool. Swansea is 17th following their loss at Manchester City, and Leicester are 16th following yet another loss this season against Manchester United. Moving on to top goal scorers, and as you can see, Romelu Lukaku jumps to the top of the chart with his 4 goals against Bournemouth. That boosted him up to 16 goals. Alexis Sanchez is second, not scoring this week. He's on 15 goals and 8 assists. Also not scoring this week was Diego Costa, also on 15 goals, but on 5 assists. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is fourth, adding a goal to his tally this week, and he's on 15 goals, 3 assists. Making up the top 5 is Harry Kane, adding a penalty goal to his tally this week on 14 goals and 3 assists. Right, so that's all I've got for you this time. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday for the next episode of the Premier League Review. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow the Portion of Sport Twitter account. The link is in the description, or it's at portionofsport_. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter or subscribe to my personal YouTube channel. The links to both of those are in the description as well. All my channels should be popping onto your screen round about now. But anyway, thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I'll see you soon.